Hi YouTubers, my name is Emmett McLean and I'm making a tribute to the venerable classical guitar player named Christopher Parkening. And if you're not a classical guitar player, you might not know who he is or what he's about. I guess you'd say that in the 70s he was a child prodigy, and he recorded several albums that sold millions and millions of copies. Just like, if you were alive at that time and you were a teenager, you'd be listening to Yes, or you maybe listen to Deep Purple or Alice Cooper or the Rolling Stones, whatever. Chances are, if you were just listening to music and you love stuff, chances are you had one or two Christopher Parkening albums and maybe one or two Julian Bream albums in your list of stuff to play, just so that you could kind of mix things up. And it turns out that Christopher Parkening has a legacy that goes way beyond the recording stuff that made him famous in the 70s. He has a legacy that has to do with teaching the classical guitar. And he's really, compared to other guitar players, I think he's taken that to a next level. And this is my tribute to what he's done. And I guess to cut to the short, the music, the sheet music to all the stuff that he has ever recorded is available, and it's published by Hal Leonard. And you can get the CD and you can get the music, and you can learn how to play the music, and then you can put the earphones on and play along with it, and it's like you get a free master class. And not only that, you get many years, or I've gotten many years worth of enjoyment just playing along with this music that Mr. Parkening compiled. And it is true that Mr. Parkening builds upon the work of many other great people before him, J.S. Bach or Leopold Weiss. I mean, Mr. Parkening plays a lot of different kinds of music, but as a classical guitar player, he's a little different than some other there are many great guitar players, but Parkening is for one thing, he's kind of a classical musician. He's classically trained. He went to USC when he was young, and he studied with violin players, and he got the big thing of playing with orchestras, which was a big part of his background, and it has always been. So he's not so much, let's say, the romantic kind of Villa-Lobos player that comes from Argentina that is playing a repertoire that is really built for the guitar. Mr. Parkening really is, trying to play the classical repertoire, the Handel, and I don't know. There's just a lot of other other classical people, Bach, Couperin, Sartre, and so, okay. Now, speaking of Mr. Parkening, I'd like to show you something. Mr. Parkening had an annual, what he calls a master class, where it's actually a competition amongst guitar players, and what happens is the guitar players all meet up, and then they perform for him and for all the people that are also attending the class, and he gives them tips on what they should do in order to play better. So I want to show you something. This here is a photograph of a class. I think it was 2003 or 2005. I went to his class in those 2 years, and I was a player in the 2003 master class. And I was probably the worst one. I'm not a very good guitar player, And I got this cute little thing here. This says that this was because the Montana State University at Bozeman kind of promoted the master class. I got this from them. And then I have over here this wonderful picture of Mr. Parkening and I. And Mr. Parkening actually gave me a pretty helpful tip when I was over there. It had to do with how I hold my left hand. And he calls it the John Williams style. And it had to do with changing how I play, or how I try to play, so that my fingers go on a fretboard like this instead of like this. And if we ever have these master classes again, I would recommend that you check them out. So here I want to show you something else, because I was talking about Mr. Parkening's sheet music. This is the music that got me started on enjoying Mr. Parkening, and that I've studied for such a long time, you know. And the sheet music looks like this. It could be, you know, something that a piano player would look at. It's not tablature, which I think is kind of a good thing, because if you get tablature sometimes from a publisher, the tablature like takes up a lot of room on the page, and it makes it hard to sight read. And what I did in my instance, you know, I would take some of his music, like this one here. This actually isn't a piece by Mr. Parkening. But this shows what I did when I would take Mr. Parkening's music, and then I would write out the tablature myself. And that gave me the freedom to go ahead and put in my own fingerings, or change the fingerings that Mr. Parkening had, or make this stuff easier to read, because my eyes aren't as good as, you know, many other players is. So this here is an introduction to classical guitar, and this is probably something that Mr. Parkening uses at the University of Pepperdine, where he teaches classical guitar even today. And if you go to his master class, the material that's covered in the master class is all the material that's in this book. And there's more material in this book than you might guess. It's easy not to read because, I don't know, it just is. And then there's some stuff that's actually not very helpful in here, like, you know, what happens when, you know, you move your hand from one fret to another fret in the middle of a song. But the stuff about how to change up the tone when you play, or to change the volume, all that stuff is covered in his classes. So I'm going to show you some other stuff. This is another one of his wonderful books. This has masterpieces in it, and this is the volume 2 of the same set of music. And these two books each have about maybe 7 songs in them, and the fingerings are exactly the same as what he plays on the record. And you can, you know, put on headphones and you can play the music along, and then, you know, it's like you get a free classical guitar lesson. You know, you go, oh wow, look, you know, he puts a little nuance here, he plays it softer here, or he, you know, puts tremolo there, or, you know, he just plays with so much volume. You know, you go, God, you know, it's like, man, I really need to crank it up. And you know, Parkening is a really great guitar player. And, you know, the thing is there are many great guitar players out there, and you'll hear people on the internet go, oh, well, you know, Mr. Parkening isn't good as Julian Bream or John Williams, or, you know, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know, Parkening's style is just great, and in my opinion, you know, I mean, I play a lot of his stuff. To me, he's the greatest guitar player that ever lived. And, you know, I love Segovia too, so I haven't listened to as much Segovia as I did Parkening. Maybe if I did, I would like Segovia a little better. But, you know, Segovia played in a different era, and guitars weren't as nice as they are today. You know, like Christopher Parkening's guitar is like a fucking piano. It's like a really amazing instrument, and it broadcasts. It's like, you know, I had a chance to touch it and play 1 or 2 chords on it during that master class. I was like, I'll never forget that. Okay, so here we are. These are some of his CDs that you can play along to, and those music books I just showed you have the music to what's in this CD. So, you know, and you know, here's another one. I didn't show you the music books to this thing called Simple Gifts, and Simple Gifts is a really beautiful album. I mean, everything Parkening plays is really beautiful, but some of the gimmicks that you hear in this thing where they, like tune in real time to, like 4 half steps, it's just like fucking so cool. And then they end up having the guitar perfectly in tune, like right in 2 measures. They do that. Okay, and so here, this is it. This is Emmett's tribute to Christopher Parkening. This is Parkening's Plays Box CD. And if you're on the internet, on YouTube, and you're looking at Emmett McLean, and you see all these songs that are inspired by Christopher Parkening, they're all songs from this CD, from the Plays Box CD. And that's my goal, is to like play all the songs except for one. There's one song I don't like that much, the Couperin song. But all the other songs I'm planning on recording, or I have recorded and put it on YouTube. And I suck. I'm a hobbyist. I do a pretty good job at having fun with it, and some people might enjoy watching me play. But I'm not like a guitar player. I'm not a student. I have a job, and I'm not that smart a guitar player. I don't have the intensity that it takes. The energy, the dedication. The love of music goes beyond loving music. It goes into music having to be your whole life. And Parkening will tell you that when you're at his master class. If you really want to be a great guitar player, you really, you just have to really be committed to it. And the advice he gave me was, Emmett, change your life and get more time to practice. And I've actually tried to do that in the last 3 or 4 years. And so I've been practicing more recently than I had mostly in the last 20. So I'd like to say again, I would like to thank Christopher Parkening for having, this wonderful career, and for having published his music, and, for being really a role model. It's like I'm one of these people. I'm influenced by ICP. I'm Krayshawn, Keek the Sneak. It's like all my music tastes are kind of like all over the place, and my personality is the same way. And Mr. Parkening, to him, being a classical guitar player is also being, well, he's to him it's a religious thing too, right? Because he loves Jesus Christ. I'm an atheist. I respect that he gets his inspiration from Jesus Christ. So, and I lost my train of thought a little bit, but Christopher Parkening is a role model, and he the way he is the ambassador for the classical guitar, it's just been amazing. It's helped my life out a lot, and that's not to say that there are other players that are also ambassadors for the guitar, and also, there are hundreds of them, right? Classical guitar is an amazing instrument, but I tend to think a lot of Mr. Parkening because I practice the music that he published and recorded on his CDs. So, if you're a young person and you're wondering, well, should I practice guitar? I should just go to college and major in computer science and try to get a job. Why should I play classical guitar? The answer is because, you with classical guitar you can practice it anytime you want to. You aren't in a band and then people aren't complaining, hey, you didn't, learn any new music or put together some new music lately, our whole band is fucking up. No, with classical guitar you can put it down and come back to it a year later, and, the love that you get of music, it's just something that, you just really wish that other people had, because it makes life so special. Let's see, before I let this over to the YouTube community, I would like to say that I've covered everything. There is one thing, though, that Parkening is also a little unique in that he is an American guitar player. There are a lot of great guitar players, but a lot of them are also from Europe, and even Asia too. So if you listen to my music and you enjoy it, or you feel inspired to do your own Christopher Parkening tribute, that would be wonderful. You know, good luck to everyone. Bye.